I'm Claire, 29, and 5 years ago, I started my tech company from a tiny studio apartment in Pittsburgh. It was just me, a laptop, and a dream to build something meaningful. Last year, I fell deeply in love with Nathan, a 31-year-old investment banker from an old money family. When he proposed, I felt like I was living a fairy tale until I met his mother, Victoria. At our first dinner together, she threw a glass of red wine in my face and said, "That's to cleanse a nobody. Pay $250,000 to join our family." To my horror, Nathan laughed, as if it were a harmless prank. What Victoria didn't know was that my company powered critical systems for her conglomerate, Harrington Enterprises. I wiped the wine from my face, forced a smile, and said, "I'm severing all business ties." If this shocks you, drop a comment with where you're reading from. Like and subscribe to hear how I fought back against this manipulative matriarch and reclaimed my self-respect. I grew up in a modest Pittsburgh suburb, the daughter of two educators. My father taught high school math, and my mother was a school counselor until she passed away 4 years ago. We weren't wealthy, but we had enough, and my parents instilled in me a fierce work ethic and a belief that I could achieve anything with enough determination. I earned scholarships and worked night shifts at a local diner to put myself through Carnegie Mellon, where I graduated with a degree in computer engineering. College wasn't easy. Balancing academics with two part-time jobs left little time for a social life, but it taught me resilience and the value of earning my own way. 5 years ago, I launched my tech startup from my kitchen table. The idea was simple but ambitious, a software platform to streamline logistics for mid-sized companies. The first year was brutal. I coded for 16 hours a day, survived on instant noodles, and faced constant rejection from investors who doubted a young woman with no connections could compete in a male-dominated industry. But my platform was unique. It used predictive algorithms to optimize supply chains, saving companies time and money. Slowly, clients took notice. By year 3, I had 25 employees and a small office. By year 5, my company, Nexus Solutions, employed 120 people across 4 cities, with contracts from coast to coast. I met Nathan at a fintech summit in New York. I was presenting our latest software upgrade, a system that could scale for global enterprises, and he approached me afterward with sharp, thoughtful questions about data integration and growth potential. He was tall, with warm hazel eyes and a quick wit that disarmed me. We exchanged business cards, and the next day, he called to invite me to dinner. Our connection was instant. Nathan was driven, articulate, and seemed genuinely impressed by what I'd built. Over the next year, our relationship deepened. He brought me coffee during late-night coding sessions, celebrated every new client win, and listened patiently when I vented about the challenges of running a startup. When he proposed 3 months ago with a sapphire heirloom ring, a family treasure, I said yes without hesitation, envisioning a future where we'd build a life together as equals. But after the proposal, Nathan started mentioning his family more often. He described his father, Edward, as traditional but fair, and his mother, Victoria, as particular about appearances. When I pressed for details, he'd shrug and say, "Mom's just protective. She'll love you once she knows you." Those vague assurances should have been a red flag, but I was too caught up in our romance to notice. The Harringtons, I later learned, weren't just rich, they were dynastic, with a shipping empire that spanned the globe and connections to Wall Street tycoons, senators, and even minor European nobility. Edward had inherited and expanded Harrington Enterprises, a conglomerate that dominated maritime logistics and supply chain components. 7 months before our engagement, my company had secured a contract with one of Harrington Enterprises' divisions to modernize their distribution systems. The deal accounted for about 15% of our annual revenue, significant but not critical. I'd only interacted with their operations team, never the family, so I didn't think much of it. As the dinner with Nathan's parents approached, I grew anxious. I spent hours researching high society etiquette, memorizing which fork to use for what course, and practicing polite small talk about art, travel, and charity. I bought a sleek, understated black dress, conservative but elegant, and rehearsed topics that might impress. Nathan laughed off my preparations. You're overthinking it, Claire. Just be yourself. They'll see what I see. The Harrington estate was a fortress at the end of a private, tree-lined drive in Connecticut. The colonial mansion loomed with its white columns and manicured gardens, a monument to wealth I'd never encountered. You didn't tell me you grew up in a palace, I whispered as we parked. Nathan squeezed my hand. It's just a house. But it wasn't just a house. It was a symbol of privilege, a world apart from my modest upbringing. A uniformed housekeeper greeted us, taking our coats in a foyer larger than my first apartment. Marble floors gleamed under a crystal chandelier that probably cost more than my car. Portraits of stern-faced Harringtons lined the walls, their eyes following me as we walked. Victoria appeared, poised in a silk gown, her pearl necklace catching the light. She was in her late 50s, but looked younger, with Nathan's hazel eyes and a smile that never reached them. Claire, how quaint to meet you, she said, her handshake brief and cold. Edward was warmer, his silver hair and kind demeanor putting me slightly at ease. Welcome to our home, Claire. Nathan says you're quite the innovator. I thanked him, hoping his kindness would set the tone. In a gilded parlor, we sipped champagne while Victoria interrogated me. What does your father do, Claire? He taught high school math, now retired. My mother was a school counselor. Her lips curled slightly. No family wealth then? No trust fund? Mom, Nathan said, but his tone was more amused than defensive. No, I said firmly. I built my company from the ground up. How industrious, she replied, her voice laced with condescension. Some sort of tech venture, yes? We develop logistics software. Actually, we've been working with Harrington Enterprises for 6 months. Her eyes narrowed, clearly unaware of the connection. I leave such details to our managers, she said dismissively. Dinner was served in a formal dining room, the mahogany table set with gold-rimmed china and an array of silverware that tested my etiquette research. Victoria's scrutiny intensified. She corrected my posture, mocked my provincial Pittsburgh accent, and dismissed my attempts to discuss our company's partnership. Business is so tedious at dinner, she said when I mentioned our successful software integration. Have you considered children, Claire? The Harrington legacy demands heirs. I'm focused on my career right now, I said carefully. Her face hardened. A woman's duty is to her family, not her little project. By dessert, my nerves were frayed. Then, without warning, Victoria flung her wine glass's contents into my face. The red liquid stung my eyes and dripped onto my dress. That's to cleanse a nobody, she said calmly. If you want to marry Nathan, pay $250,000 to the Harrington Family Trust. It's the cost of entry. I sat frozen, too shocked to speak. Nathan laughed. Mom's dramatic, he said, handing me a napkin. She did this to my brother's wife. Edward looked uncomfortable but said nothing. It's tradition, Victoria continued. We don't marry beneath us without compensation. Your startup may be doing well now, but it's hardly stable. The dowry ensures your commitment to the family, not just Nathan's wealth. The drive back was silent until I couldn't hold it in. Your mother assaulted me, and you laughed, I said. Nathan sighed. It's just her way. Pay the dowry, and she'll warm up. It's not about money, it's degrading. He rolled his eyes. You're being too sensitive. You can afford it with your company's success. That night, we had our first real fight. If you loved me, you'd respect our traditions, he said before storming out. I barely slept, replaying the dinner, wondering if I'd overreacted or misunderstood some elite custom. The next morning, Victoria called. The dowry's due in 30 days, or Nathan's engagement is off. Also, my team needs some tweaks to your software. At the meeting she referenced, she and Harrington's CIO demanded extensive, uncontracted upgrades that would cost my company tens of thousands in unbudgeted work. Nathan expects his fiancée to cooperate, she said with a smirk. It was clear, pay the dowry, fund her demands, or lose both the contract and Nathan. I confided in my best friend, Lauren, over lunch. That's extortion, she said, horrified. Her sister, a lawyer for elite families, revealed that the Harringtons had a history of demanding dowries from in-laws, only to impose new controls after payment. Nathan's ex-fiancée, Sarah, had paid $200,000, then faced demands to quit her job because Harrington women don't work. When she refused, Nathan ended it. I contacted Sarah, who confirmed the nightmare. After I paid, they controlled everything, my social life, my career, even my wardrobe. Nathan always sided with Victoria. When I pushed back, they threatened my family's business. Meanwhile, Victoria escalated her business tactics. She called daily with complaints, criticized my team in meetings, and spread rumors to other clients that Nexus Solutions was unreliable. 2 clients expressed concerns about our stability. Nathan's texts grew coercive. Mom's frustrated. Claire, pay the dowry. Don't ruin what we have. I began to see the pattern. Victoria was using the contract to force my compliance, and Nathan was complicit. 3 weeks after the dinner, I confronted Nathan at my apartment. Choose, me or your mother. He frowned. I love you, but family comes first. The dowry's just money. You have it. It's about control, I said. You laughed when she humiliated me. You're overreacting, he snapped. Marriage isn't just romance. It's about alliances, stability. My family offers connections you'll never get otherwise. The argument escalated until he left. Hours later, an anonymous text sent by Edward's assistant revealed Nathan and Victoria's messages. She's still resisting, Nathan wrote. Keep leveraging the contract, Victoria replied. If she won't pay, she's not Harrington material. I felt sick. The man I loved was conspiring to manipulate me. Victoria summoned me to another family dinner, a tribunal of sorts. Nathan's brother, David, and his wife, Emily, were there, along with his uncle and aunt. One by one, they defended the dowry. Emily called it an investment in family unity. The aunt, Margaret, described it as the price of a better life. But their forced smiles and guarded tones betrayed their discontent. Emily barely spoke unless prompted. Margaret deferred to her husband on every point. They seemed less like family and more like subordinates afraid of Victoria's wrath. Edward surprised everyone by admitting he'd paid a dowry to Victoria's family decades ago. The principle's the same, he said, earning a glare from his wife. Nathan took my hand. We want you in this family, Claire, but traditions matter. Are you in or out? I excused myself to check my phone. My business partner, Mia, had sent urgent messages. Victoria had met with our team that morning, threatening to cancel the contract over quality issues and spreading doubts about our reliability. 2 clients, including Apex Dynamics, were questioning our stability. My personal crisis had become a professional one. Victoria wasn't just threatening my engagement. She was attacking my company, my employees, and everything I'd built. I returned to the dining room, where the conversation had shifted to wedding plans contingent on my paying the dowry. The country club is booked for August, Victoria said. If Claire confirms the payment this week, we can secure it. And if I don't? I asked. Silence fell. Then there's no wedding, Nathan said firmly. I love you, but this is non-negotiable. In that moment, I saw him clearly not as a partner, but as an extension of his mother's control. His love was conditional, tied to my submission. Edward spoke up, suggesting a reduced dowry given my success, but Victoria shut him down. The amount is tradition. If anything, it should be higher for her background. I stood. I need to go. Victoria smirked. Running won't solve this. I'm not running, I said. I'm leaving a situation that's become unacceptable. Nathan followed me to the door. Don't throw this away, Claire. Think about what you're losing. I replied. I'm wondering what I ever saw in a man who'd let his mother assault me and demand I pay for his love. The next day, Apex Dynamics canceled their contract, citing concerns about our stability, concerns traced back to Victoria. By week's end, we'd lost 2 more clients, and our stock was slipping. My company, built on 5 years of sacrifice, was under siege because I refused to bend to a woman who saw me as unworthy of her son. I had to act, or I'd lose everything. I visited my parents in Pittsburgh, needing perspective. My father listened quietly, then said, "This isn't about money, it's about respect. Paying won't earn it from them." His words grounded me. Back in New York, I met my mentor, Professor Ellis, a former Carnegie Mellon professor turned venture capitalist. "You're dealing with a predator," he said bluntly. "Victoria's exploiting your love for Nathan and your business ties. Surprise her, she won't expect you to fight back." I tasked Mia with investigating Harrington Enterprises. Her report revealed a pattern: canceled contracts tied to personal disputes, questionable accounting, and potential labor violations. Victoria had a history of weaponizing her company's influence to settle personal scores. Meanwhile, I pitched to Harrington's rivals, Apex Logistics and Triton Systems, both of whom had previously shown interest. Both expressed enthusiasm, and we drafted preliminary agreements. My CFO, Priya, ran projections. Losing Harrington's contract would hurt short-term, requiring cost cuts and a delayed office expansion, but with new clients, we'd recover within 2 quarters. I confided in my friend Jamie, a Wall Street Journal reporter. Without naming the Harringtons, I shared the situation. "This could be a story about power abuse in elite business circles," she said. "It's rarely reported because victims fear retaliation." My lawyer, Sonia, reviewed our contract with Harrington Enterprises and found Victoria's demands breached its terms, giving us grounds to terminate. "Her threats to your reputation could be tortious interference," Sonia added. "We have a case if they push back." By Friday, I was ready. I declined Victoria's dinner and emailed her for a Monday meeting at my office, titled End of Business Partnership. Her reply was curt: "I'll be there. Come prepared to discuss business and personal matters." I spent the weekend preparing. I reviewed documentation, rehearsed my approach, and practiced power poses to summon confidence. I called major clients to reassure them of our stability, emphasizing our new partnerships. Sunday night, Nathan showed up unannounced. "You're making a mistake," he said, his tone both pleading and patronizing. "Mom will forgive your stubbornness if you bring the dowry and an apology tomorrow." I looked at the man I'd once loved and felt only pity. "I'll be there," I said, "but not for your reasons." I handed him the sapphire ring in an envelope. "This belongs to your family." Monday morning, I wore a tailored gray suit with subtle red accents, ready to face Victoria on my turf. She arrived at 9 a.m., impeccable in a designer suit, radiating the confidence of someone used to winning. I met her alone in our conference room, a deliberate choice. This was personal. "Claire," she said, sitting across from me, "I'm pleased you've come to your senses." "Nathan will be relieved." "You've misunderstood," I replied. "We're here to end our business relationship." Her smile faltered. "That would be foolish. Harrington Enterprises is a major client, and there's Nathan to consider." I opened a folder. "For the past month, you've made uncontracted demands, threatened my company's reputation, and used our business ties to coerce me personally." I slid over printouts of her emails, meeting notes, and the texts between her and Nathan. "What I thought was a personal slight is a pattern of unethical conduct." Her eyes narrowed. "You're making a grave error." "No," I said. "The error was tolerating your abuse." I revealed our new clients, Apex Logistics and Triton Systems, naming Harrington's competitors. She flinched. "They lack our influence," she said. "But they value our work without strings," I countered. I presented the termination notice, citing Section 8.3 of our contract, which allowed exit due to material changes in terms. Your demands violate the agreement, I said. We've also uncovered irregularities in Harrington Enterprises, accounting issues, labor violations, and a history of punitive contract terminations. I placed another folder before her. I'm not here to ruin you. I want a clean break, professionally and personally. My assistant entered with the envelope containing Nathan's ring. This is for him, I said, returned with the dignity you denied me. Victoria's composure cracked. You ungrateful. I'm not done, I interrupted. I don't buy love or respect, Mrs. Harrington. I'm building a life based on partnership, not transactions. I stood. Our contract is terminated, effective immediately. My lawyer's contact is in that folder. If you threaten my company again, the press will find this story compelling. I paused. That $250,000? I'm donating it to a scholarship fund for first-generation entrepreneurs. You should know that. She stood, trembling with fury. You'll regret this. One word from me, and you'll be shut out of this industry. That might have worked before, I said, but paper trails and headlines change things. This can end cleanly, or we can see how the business world reacts to your tactics. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, muttering, Nathan deserves better. We agree, I called after her, but for different reasons. The aftermath was swift. Harrington Enterprises issued a vague statement about strategic differences and switched vendors. Some elite circles closed ranks against me, invitations to galas vanished, and a few clients grew distant. Nathan sent a final text, calling me the biggest mistake of his life. But the blowback was less severe than I'd feared. Apex Logistics and Triton Systems signed contracts, boosting revenue by 18%. My team rallied, working overtime to secure new clients and stabilize operations. We delayed a new office opening and cut non-essential expenses, but the quarterly report showed a 22% revenue increase year-over-year. Edward called unexpectedly a week later. I owe you an apology, he said. What Victoria did, what we all did, was wrong. I sat silent while you were humiliated, and I'm ashamed. His voice carried a weariness I hadn't heard before. I've enabled her for years, watching her drive away good people who didn't fit her mold. Your courage made me question that. He revealed he'd left Victoria and moved into a modest apartment, seeking a life free of her control. Over time, we developed an unlikely friendship, meeting occasionally for coffee. He shared his regrets and his journey to reclaim his own voice. I thought protecting the Harrington name meant upholding traditions, he said once. You showed me some traditions aren't worth saving. The ripple effects surprised me. Emily, Nathan's sister-in-law, enrolled in an MBA program, defying Victoria's rule that Harrington women don't work. 2 other in-laws renegotiated their roles in family businesses, demanding respect. My company gained unexpected recognition when the Wall Street Journal published a feature on ethical business practices, profiling Nexus Solutions without naming the Harringtons. The article highlighted our commitment to integrity over power plays, leading to speaking invitations at business schools and conferences. I began sharing a core lesson. Success built on compromised values isn't success, it's a prettier failure. 6 months later, my company thrived. The loss of Harrington's contract forced us to diversify, adding 17 new clients and a Seattle office. Our new security platform exceeded sales projections, and we launched a foundation to fund tech education for underserved youth. The transition wasn't flawless. We lost 2 employees who feared instability, and budget cuts stung, but our team's loyalty and innovation carried us through. Nathan tried to reconcile. First came texts, I was wrong. Can we talk? Then flowers with a note, I miss your strength. Dinner, just us. Finally, he appeared at my apartment, humbled. I'm in therapy, he said. I see how toxic my family is. I wanted to believe him, but his betrayal lingered. I'm glad you're healing, I said, but we're done. Change for yourself, not me. As he left, I felt the last threads of our past dissolve. 9 months after the confrontation, I attended a tech conference in San Francisco and met Leo, a cybersecurity CEO. Our connection was effortless, intellectual, grounded in mutual respect. When I shared the Harrington saga, he said simply, "Their loss, my gain. Anyone who doesn't see your worth doesn't deserve you." Our relationship grew slowly, free of ultimatums or hidden costs, built on shared values and genuine partnership. A year later, at an industry gala, I ran into Nathan. He was with a new girlfriend, someone from a family wealthy enough to satisfy Victoria. "You look well," he said awkwardly. "You were right to stand up to Mom. She'll never admit it, but you're the only one who ever beat her." I nodded, unmoved, and walked away. That night, I accepted an innovation award for our security platform. In my speech, I said, "True success means valuing yourself as much as your work." The hardest but most important decision is walking away from the wrong opportunity, partnership, or person. The Harrington experience reshaped me. I became more discerning about clients, rejecting deals with even a hint of coercion. Nexus Solutions adopted an ethics policy banning partnerships that blur personal and professional boundaries. I learned to spot red flags early, vague promises, uneven power dynamics, and to trust my instincts. Most importantly, I learned that strength lies in knowing when to walk away. The $250,000 dowry was affordable, but the cost to my dignity was too high. Real partnerships, business or personal, value you for who you are, not what you can pay. Have you ever faced a relationship or deal that demanded too much of your self-respect? How did you handle it? Share in the comments. If my story resonated, like and subscribe for more tales of standing up for your worth.